Okay, everybody, we have the moon in Capricorn and it is approaching Mars and Venus. And Mars and Venus in Capricorn are a power couple, and it is all about power in Capricorn. It's about authority. It's about foundations. As they approach Pluto, it becomes more and more about power struggles. And I know there's a lot of astrologers saying that Venus is going to temper things, and she might. But if you're going to use Greek myth, you have to remember that Venus was also a goddess of war. And things are very contentious on the planet right now. And so overnight, the energy is going to be very, very intense. If you're in the United States, I highly suggest you take a nice bath, eat a gummy, do something to relax, and go to sleep, okay? Tomorrow is there. If you're elsewhere in the world, do just take care and be careful. My heart is with you. We are in for some very interesting times. I've been warning about this for decades, actually. In fact, I was having a conversation with my son and he said, you know, Mom, you were really right. A lot of people thought I was really crazy for how I raised my kids looking into the future, because I was looking at 2020 and beyond back in the 1990s. And it was very contentious. It was very conflict ridden. And I raised my kids to have a lot of crazy kind of skills, whether it was medieval type skills or modern tech skills, because you needed to know all of it. And so I've gotten a whole lot of, gee, okay, it wasn't so crazy to raise us the way you did. And one of the things I really emphasized was self-actualization, to prevent yourself from being the victim of any kind of propaganda, because we're moving into, with Neptune and Pisces, and it has been there for quite a while. Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome, welcome. With Neptune and Pisces, there is a lot of belief messaging, and we've seen warring rhetoric go on, ramping up from the early 2000s on. Okay, so none of this is new. It didn't just start in 2016. Somebody mentioned on one of my videos today, they made a good point. They were like, it seems like the Grand Conjunction really set off that square to the Grand Conjunction in the 1980s. And of course it did. But we're looking at a much larger cycle. If you follow this energy all the way back, we're actually looking at some of the biggest changes in human history in 4,500 years. And that's why these cycles are just like, they're intense, because we're actually breaking up old things that haven't served us and building new things. And it can look kind of ugly in the middle of it all. Remember, you were born for these times, okay? You were born for these times, you were born for these times, you were born for these times. And I know we're all tired of living through historic times, but honestly, the difference between now and 150 years ago is it was really easy to live in an isolated manner without news. It took months for news to get to people. We have news right in front of us all of the time now. So you want to be judicious. You want to be judicious in how you consume media of all kinds. And there's going to be, notice that tensions are high, emotions are high, and there's times to be neutral and there's times not to be neutral, but be very careful in your non-neutrality, okay? Be very careful in that. Decipher information with caution, okay? With caution. Just because there is so much flow so fast, okay? I'm concerned about the CDC decision. To me, it says a lot more about supply chain than it does actual data. Please do wear your masks, okay? We have some pretty crunchy transits going into the spring that tell me that masks will probably be pretty necessary. Oh, thank you. Thank you for loving my makeup. I think it turned out all right. Once in a while, I get it right. I don't see very well, so once in a while, it's like, okay, the moon's in Capricorn, use that energy, get that precision. You'd never know. I used to be a makeup artist in the 90s, but my eyes were better then. So I could see the left side of my face at the time. So thank you. I kind of go by feel now. So it's hard when your vision starts to go, especially when you're a writer, but that's okay. Oh, thank you so much. And the moon in Capricorn is, it is about precision. Okay, it's about authoritative self-possession. Okay, and with Mars and Venus getting ready to move to Pluto, a lot of us are going to feel kind of unsettled, and to say it mildly, to put it mildly. Malcolm, he's breathing heavy. That's the heavy breathing is my dog. He's right by the door, sniffing under, looking for intruders. No woofing. No. You gonna come up? You gonna come up and be part of the live stream? Come here. Come on, Malcolm. So it's going to be, okay, wait. Let me grab my glasses. All right, we got the Malcolm. We got the Malcolm. Thank you. He likes to lick the makeup off my face. He's such a rube. But anyway, so with the moon in Capricorn, and with it approaching Mars and Venus approaching Pluto, they'll be conjunct. He's the comedy part. They'll be conjunct the new moon on the 2nd of March. And I just did a video about that. I did an astro alert on that. That's somewhat chilling at the moment, by the way. I did it 6 days ago, before the invasion of the Ukraine. And it will appear that things are a lot worse than they are. And I'm not diminishing the events in the Ukraine. I'm just saying it's going to look a lot worse than it is. Be aware there's a lot of illusion. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes we're not aware of. I know it looks like there's a lot of transparency and a lot of transparent messaging. There's a lot of other stuff going on that we're not privy to. And so just keep that in your back pocket, okay? So we want to keep our own adrenaline down if we're not in a position of needing to use it for our own survival, okay? Hello. So tonight will be really, really contentious. We're going to probably wake up to some not great news. I'm not going to lie, if you're especially on the West Coast, but we'll wake up to some news that is probably not great. Have I done Zelensky's chart? I have. He's got some very interesting astrology. And he's, I can pull it up here in a minute and do Zelensky's chart. I was comparing Zelensky's and Putin's charts. Funny enough, I have some real similarities to Putin in my placements. They're obviously very different charts because I was born in 1969. All those people saying, oh, his mother didn't raise him right. What the fuck ever, okay? I suffered severe trauma too. You have a choice on how you act. He chose to be an asshat, okay? He chose to be brutal. He made a decision, because I remember the day I made a decision to be the way I am, okay? And it's not just because I'm a woman. I could have been very brutal. Okay, I'm not kidding. And there are still times I don't mind being the villain. Okay, I just tend to not do it the same way. I would never do mass violence. I once got asked why I never killed anybody. I always said it wasn't worth the jail time. And I meant it. Okay, and I would have been justified because of trauma. Okay, you always have a choice. Okay, so why West Coast? Just because it happens, we wake up to things later. That's it. You guys may hear it after you've woken up. That's it. That's all. It's just about time zones, right? So yeah. Did I feel the earthquake? I didn't. What earthquake? I'll have to look at it. If it depends on where it was at. I'll have to look. I did expect there to be a little more seismic activity. All of my horoscopes are up for the Capricorn moon. They're up on Patreon. Well, you realize California is huge, right? It is huge. If I were to start driving to Washington State, okay, I would still be in California 2 days from now because I can only probably make it like 5 hours at a time. So I probably have to stop on Mount Shasta. So it's huge. Oh, north of LA. Then I wouldn't have felt it where I'm at. No. So yeah, unless it was really big. Yeah. So yeah, California is a really huge state. I have driven the entirety of the West Coast like 10 times. It's beautiful. That's why I say driving, because I don't like to fly. So no, but I do expect more seismic activity, but we really won't have a ton of seismic activity, like big stuff. Again, for a little while. We've got a couple weeks out from anything major. And I don't just mean California, I mean globally. Okay. So, the summer should be a little bit active in that regards, and don't worry, I'll keep you up to date on that stuff. So yeah. Oregon is great. I grew up in Oregon, so I know all kinds of crazy places in Oregon. So I was like the 6th generation from my area when I was growing up. So I was the first one to leave in a long time. But anyway, I digress. So Zelensky's chart has some really promising aspects going on. There's some good astrology there. If he can make it through the middle of March, he's golden. If he can make it through the middle of March, he's golden. And in fact, it won't be as bad. Like when Venus and Mars go over the top of his sun, it won't be like what's going on right now, because the contention with Venus and Mars together in Capricorn is that they're approaching Pluto. This is really, really heavy energy. Really heavy energy. And we've had this energy before, but we haven't had this energy really post 2020. And it was the Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto conjunction of 2020 that really detonated the foundations of the global norm, okay, the status quo, and so we're kind of watching this all. The Jenga tower is doing this, okay? And that's why you see different alliances forming, and these are all old things popping up. These aren't even, 60 years old, 70 years old, 100 years old. These are older than that, okay? And remember, I was a political analyst before I was an astrologer. And when you study political science or international relations, you have to study a lot of history, because the agreements all go way back. You go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. As long as there's history, each thing feeds into itself, and so does astrology. Nothing is just out of the blue. And I'd like to address, people keep attributing the Pluto return of the U.S. the U.S. Declaration of Independence to this event. This is not to do with that, okay? It has to do with that time period and certain things happening in that time period. But the Declaration of Independence did not form a nation. We didn't start really caring about 1776 until the 20th century. People did not get all excited about it in the 19th century, okay? They really didn't. It propaganda thing, especially in the 1970s, to get people rah-ing about America, because there was a huge anti-American sentiment in our own country because of the situation from Vietnam. Okay, so in 1976, or just before 1976, they got everybody excited about, America's birthday. And yeah, we've always celebrated July 4th because that's when we declared independence. That's why there are the rockets, red glare. It's celebrating a revolution, a start of a revolution, not the start of a nation. There was no guarantee we would win. Okay, there's no guarantee. There was no guarantee. So really 1783 is a good chart for the Treaty of Paris, and then 1785 for the first Constitution. Those are all good dates for the Pluto return. So we really have about 9 to 11 years before the US actually sees its Pluto return. But look at what else was going on in 1776. There was a lot going on in the world. And so it wasn't just about the United States. We need to stop looking through a very narrow lens. Okay, so Why was that going on? Because of imperialism. So we're watching imperialism kind of take it to the chops and kind of be met by populism all over the planet. There's a lot of people really getting kind of tired of being seen as human capital. There's a lot of people really kind of tired of despotism, and some people are all for it. And so we're going to see this clash of ideologies as we move into the Pluto and Aquarius era. Now, I know people have been talking, oh, it'll be unity when Pluto and Aquarius happens. It won't be. It's going to be a clash of ideologies as some people fight for collectivism, and some people fight for more of an oligarchy structure. What about 2032? Honey, worry about one thing at a time. And like I said, it'll be around 9 to 11 years before we see the return. So 2032 is just about 11 years from now. And that's really the more likely return date, in my opinion, as a political analyst. And there's a lot of professional astrologers, very famous ones, who will say, oh, 1776. But they're not trained in political science. They're not actual, like, they're armchair political scientists. And so when I look at a formation, it's just like a natal chart. We don't, in Western tropical astrology, we don't look at the conception. We look at the first breath. When is that baby viable? Okay, when is it breathing on its own? And that's when you set the time of birth. Okay, so the same too with the nation. So there's different cultural interpretations and different modalities. Doesn't mean they're wrong, but I'm talking about the work I do. Okay, so yeah. 2032-ish, it might be 2033, is the return for the U.S. Constitution. That's when we actually had a government. We didn't have a government in 1776. Not really. It was pretty ad hoc. And you also have to remember, all of those were like, those were just 13 colonies. They weren't even we weren't even an actual country. So, and then if you take the entire, contiguous United States as it stands today, and then add in Alaska and Hawaii, you actually have to do the chart where those were ratified into the nation as well. And I would argue another return chart would be for the last time the Constitution was amended, because it is the governing law of the land. It's what makes our country a country. It's not who's president. It's not who's in the Senate. It's not, we've over the last 40 years, really since Reagan, they've been trying to sell us back to having a king. Okay. I mean, how many times do you hear like, oh, everybody's got to listen to the president. President works for the people. We don't have dictators in this country, or supposedly. I know somebody tried real hard. And we're going to see the damage of that. There's been a lot of infiltration. There's been a lot of awful stuff done. And so this country, the people have to, as in all nations, the people are going to have to kind of step up and do something about it. And that's going to be awkward because most people don't know how, And so we're going to see different playbooks. So yeah, it is. It's nuts. Pisces Mercury, just observe and take it in. Pisces Mercury actually transmits plenty as well. Water signs transmit far more than they like to admit. I see you. I have a water sign Mercury. There's nothing that isn't transmissive about it. So, yeah. I see you. I do. I see you. Yeah. So you're honestly really scared. Well, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel your feelings. There's no wrong feelings, but ask yourself, what is that doing for you right here in your present moment? There's reasons to be scared and concerned, and then we want to drop the adrenaline down as much as possible. Okay, because you can't make good decisions from that place. Now, on my podcast, the most recent one, I gave a lot of strategies for dealing with this heavy energy. I did a lot of explaining about the situations going on. I don't like to sensationalize things. I like to bring the tone down. Okay, I like to bring the tone down, not to diminish your feelings, but really to give you a support and some security. Okay, so you can make better decisions for yourself. And then I gave some ideas for strategies, okay, and also a meditation to soothe you. Because when our nerves are really frayed and we're in survival mode, it is very difficult to make good decisions. And unless you're actually in the face of danger, that adrenaline doesn't do you a lot of good. The cortisol doesn't do you a lot of good. Now, if you're in the middle of things and you are in survival mode, that's exactly what it's for. Okay? And then you just get up and do it. And that's why a lot of times people in the middle of something aren't feeling the same way as the people outside of something, because the people in the middle of it are doing and acting and being in survival. They'll feel it later, you know? But when you can't help or you can't do anything, you feel very powerless, and then you're not making the best decisions for you. Will all of the things going on impact everybody on the planet? Absolutely, it will. Will it be mushroom clouds? No, I do not believe so. I do not believe it will end up in like ICBM strikes. There may be some things that happen that are pretty egregious. Okay, and I would steel myself for some not great news over the next week especially. We'll probably, like I said, wake up to some not good news in the morning tomorrow. And then the new moon in Pisces is a bit of a concern to me. And it was 6 days ago before the invasion. And as I said, things are going to look larger in the mirror. Okay, they're going to look larger in the mirror. There are things that will appear to be that aren't happening. There's going to be a lot of brinksmanship again, a lot of tough talk. There may even be some things that are pretty sneaky, you know, pretty sneaky and underhanded. And so, you know, you want to watch the news judiciously. Don't let yourself be on the 24-hour news cycle. Okay, and I know that's hard, especially if you have loved ones, family, friends, people involved, people in your life who are impacted. I know it's hard not to just stay glued to it. I have friends and family all over the world. When there's conflict somewhere, it's heartbreaking when you can't be there, when you can't help. So big hugs, okay? First of all, big hugs, and just do what you can, okay? Preparation wise in this country, in the United States or in Canada, it's probably a good idea to just make sure you have cash on hand. And that's not because I see banks failing. It's just because of hacking and stuff like that. It's always good to have a little emergency cash on you anyway. And how much depends on what you've got to hold. Okay, I wouldn't pull everything out. I don't think you need to pull everything out. But I think it's always good to have a little bit extra put aside just in case. Do I think you're going to need to have that? Not necessarily. It's just a precaution. You know, that's just my logic saying, there's a lot of bullshit happening. Take care of something, okay? I do still encourage everyone to grow food. I've been encouraging people on my blog since 2020 to grow your own food. I taught both my children how to garden. They're both avid gardeners to this day, which I'm very proud about. By the way, you want to see my purple sweet potato and what it's doing now? Those of you invested, give me some hearts for the purple sweet potato. Look at that. Look at it growing. It's going to be such a pretty plant. I can almost split it up. See? Look at those roots. Whoop! Goodness sakes. I can almost split it up. And I'm going to have a couple of plants. And I guess you get like 9 or 10 sweet potatoes off of these. Not bad for a lady of leisure. Yeah. Lady of leisure. I've been working since morning. What am I talking about? In fact, I've got a group reading here in like just over an hour at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. I'll be doing a group reading called Make Your Magic. And we're doing, what I do is I take people right in a row and I'm showing them what to do with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in their own lives. Because remember, we do have global things, but you still have an individual life that you're living in the here and now, right? And if you didn't get to see my purple sweet potato, look at that. Look at that. And they are really purple. They're very cool. And I'm all down for purple food because purple food is cool. Had to bring all of my plants in because I lost one tomato. Dang it. But I got more tomatoes I've started, so it'll be okay. But yeah, And I'm going to pick out some citrus fruit because I realized I could have like a little Myers lemon on my porch. I'm very excited because, again, I am an avid gardener from the Northwest, but I get to garden in Southern California now. Gardening is really, really important, okay? There's going to be food supply issues, partly not just conflict globally, but we're also looking at weather. Okay, we still have climate change, guys. It's still there, and with the Ukraine having been invaded, they're a large food producer and global supply. And in the United States, I saw the USDA was all like, yeah, American farmers can do it. Great, we've been doing monoculture, and we're gonna have shitty weather this spring. So you don't have to grow a ton, okay? And you can still grow things in an apartment. I had to bring all my stuff in because we dipped down to freezing here in Southern California. Like I said, it got one of my tomatoes, but I still have a couple more tomatoes left, and I have a ton of seedlings coming up. And I'm doing things like radishes, cucumbers. What else? I've got radishes, cucumbers, dill for pickles. Gonna make pickles. I've got collard greens, lettuce, so those are all yummy things that you can grow inside. And you don't have to have anything spectacular. Excuse me. Dry throat. There we go. And so, yeah. Oh, pickled okra is good. Yeah, I've got potatoes. I left my potatoes out because the freeze wasn't hard enough to really grab that bag hard. So I have a grow bag with potatoes in it. Those grow bags are wonderful, and I'll show more in the Discord. I'll take more pictures and show how everything's doing. But yeah. How to get to the Patreon? If you go to the link in my bio, there's a link right there. So I have a link page with all of the links to booking readings, to joining the Patreon, listening to the podcast. I have astrology classes on my bio, including, if you go to the link in my bio, you'll also be able to listen to the US Pluto return seminar I did, where I kind of explained why popular astrology is really not giving the right information. Okay, so like the current situation right now, this is a global transit. Having Pluto in Capricorn is not just about the United States. Okay, we are looking at large cycles. And you also have to remember Pluto was not visible for humans until 1930. So the biggest part of the Pluto action we're looking at is the flip side of World War II. Okay, so because Pluto, when Hitler was coming to power in the 1930s, Pluto was in Cancer. Okay, I found it very interesting that they chose to invade the Ukraine in 2022 because it was there was similar astrology to the Sudetenland invasion by Germany in 1938-39, but Pluto was in Leo. So we're not totally to that flip side. And if they use astrologers, their astrologers aren't using outer planets, and I think they screwed the pooch, which is good. It's good they screwed up. They obviously also haven't told Putin his days are numbered, because I don't know who's saying he's going to be super powerful after all of this. He's going to be taken out. When I look at his transits, I'm like, oh, sucks to be him. And I've said that for a year. Looking at his chart. So I'm also going to say Biden's chart doesn't look great right now either, because they both have planets that are going to get hit by eclipses. And when you're a world leader, eclipses are not great. On an individual, if you're an everyday person, eclipses don't really hurt you. But if you're a world leader of any kind, or you hold, like a CEO, you hold a vast amount of power, eclipses are a little dicey. On an individual level, man, you can surf that tide and you can actually gain power, okay? But head honchos, no, they tend to get removed or have difficulty. So I think on this new moon, what about Trump? He's not a world leader. He's a criminal. he's going to have to deal with it. Like, when I gave the January 6th prediction in the morning before the insurrection, I said it was going to be the downfall of a corrupt leader. Just because it doesn't happen this second doesn't mean it's not their downfall. He gets his karma. They are not going to put him on trial without all of the evidence. They're still gathering. I mean, yeah, no, he's still going to get his shit, as he should. Yeah. Yeah. I'm no fan of, you know, how we've done things as a nation at all. And things absolutely need to change, but we really didn't need dictator. That was crazy. And the people who have followed him do not understand how this country works or should work. And it's okay to make it better. It was designed to be changed. It was designed to improve over time. And so as society changed, that was actually part of the thought process. Okay. No, you know, so all these people who just want to be, whoa, Nelly, we don't want to think here. Yeah, they get their comeuppance too. Don't tell them to wear masks. Let them go maskless. I don't care at this point. You wear a mask. Our eclipse is good for starting something. It really, really depends on the aspects in your chart. They're usually ending things. But, you know, a solar eclipse can be a new, you know, it could be a new moon on steroids and you could start something. It really depends on your chart. It really depends on your own chart. It depends on what's going on. You know, it could be releasing limitations, giving you a go signal. There's all kinds of things. So Putin, he's really going to get hit by the eclipses very, very hard. So either people in his inner circle are going to take him out, or, you know, something will occur. But not like right now. It'll probably be throughout by the fall. So even if it looks like he's winning, just know he's gonna get his. It comes in. Those eclipses do not bode well for him. So yeah. I have not heard anything about biolabs, but that just concerns the fuck out of me right now. I will have to look that up, but that makes me concerned with the new moon. And with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, please, 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 please have masks. Who are you talking about? Oh, false claim of U.S. biolabs and Oh, okay. Thank you, Rita. Oh, you know, she's young. Leave her alone. She's a kid. She's a kid. She's a kid. She created a good gig. Leave her alone. Yeah. She uses an outmoded form of astrology, and she doesn't have a lot of experience on geopolitical issues. Not everybody's a trained political analyst. She's creating good, you know, she's creating her content, but don't bash on her. She's a kid. You know, especially if you're over 30, she's a kid. All right. She might be an official adult, but she's young. Give her time to grow up. All right. I don't like pig piling people. I think she has potential if she can back away from having to be right. And, you know, you get enough times wrong. You know, none of us are right all the time. None of us are right all the time. I put a prediction in my Discord that I didn't think Russia was going to invade until the second. I was really surprised they invaded the day they did, because it wasn't the best day for the invasion. The second actually was. And so I was a little concerned, you know, so yeah, but I'm here to talk about my work, not other people's. So, don't bash on her on my page. She does her own stuff. So, yeah. Wrongs are less, are right, exactly. Being wrong is no less beneficial. And there may be something else up on deck. That's why I'm really watching the new moon, because it's a significant day. Casey, one of my mods, put up one of Rick Levine's videos. And, if you go see, Rick Levine is a very fine professional astrologer. In fact, when I was a young professional, I took some workshops from him. He's an amazing guy. He was very somber over this new moon. Rick is usually a pretty affable, jovial guy, very good-humored. And to see him as concerned as he was about the new moon, I was like, and he talked about it, he was working the astrology the same way I did. I'm very, very, very concerned about, I'm very, very concerned about the new moon. Globally, on a global level. On an individual level, it could be one of the best days in your life to create and manifest. On a global level, I see some real concern, because I agree with, it used to be I was one of the few astrologers out there, and it was nice to see somebody else picking it up, that Venus isn't always about hearts and flowers, love and romance. She was a goddess of war. Okay. Venus filled a lot of roles. Okay. If you go back and you look at Greek mythology, she filled a lot of roles. She had a lot of jobs. She brought home the bacon. She fried it up in the pan. She fought somebody for the pig. Venus meeting up with Mars in Capricorn, it's all down to brass tacks. It's all down to business. And we're not talking about the human expression, the individual human expression, where that could be warm and nurturing and building. Okay? Because Capricorn can be warm energy. It can be kindness and familial. Okay? When you think dad energy, like a good dad, not a bad dad. But when we get into the collective consciousness, when we get into the thing that is the stuff of war, where we step back from our individual humanity and our empathy, when we just see someone as other, this energy is cold. And it is about meeting objectives. And it's about meeting objectives at all costs as it moves towards Pluto. And on the new moon, which is in Pisces and conjunct Jupiter, so things are very big, very expansive, but also nebulous because it's Pisces. And then there's a win at all costs energy there as well. And so there's some kind of change in global leadership. There's some kind of change in global power structures. There's some kind of change in economics. And there's some big energy going on. No, it is not nuclear strikes. However, it could be things we don't want to see. It could be what we would consider international war crimes. We could see a lot of those things. The Queen very much could be in question. I mean, obviously she's fading. Her star is fading. I really thought she might go last year. Prince Philip did instead. And so it could be the Queen, very much so. She could go on to her next adventure. There's multiple times this year that could occur. That's a whole lot of energy to go. She's had a very long reign, and from a metaphysical perspective, that's a big release of energy. So we are living in very historic times. That is a possibility. I'm going to put it over here. Okay. Nobody knows 100%, but I would give that in the good 30% range of possibilities. I think also, just going to see, what? Is Zelensky going to be a new global leader? That remains to be seen. That's way too early. Way too early. I think he just needs to hang on to his own skin until March 12th. He's got to survive this. And so, he's got a great chart for that. He's got a great chart to that. I can put up Zelensky's chart. He's got a very interesting chart. And what I will say about him, he has the moon in Leo in his chart. He is using it in an exemplary manner. You know, it's not surprising to me that he was a comedian and that he was in the spotlight. He was, you know, because I didn't know much about him, so I did some research. It wasn't surprising. But the way he's leading, that is an exalted Leo energy. You know, that's, you know, he's at least got his messaging on point and he's leading within. And so, you know, if that's correct and he's still there and that's all going on, he's doing a hell of a job of using that moon. So I can pull his chart up real quick. I got to go in like 30 minutes. So grand trines don't mean shit sometimes. Don't get excited about grand trines. I have one. Just saying. They save your skin occasionally. Doesn't mean life isn't rough. It just means your skin gets saved. Of course his life is at risk. Of course his life is at risk. Yeah. Don't worry about, I don't even want to talk about, I'm not talking about aspect patterns because they are a distraction. If you don't understand every little bit of minutia about personal planets, understanding aspect patterns means nothing. It's fart gas. Just going to say that. So yeah, he's in a war zone. His life, he needs to hold on to his skin. So let me see if I can find his chart because I have a jillion charts. Oh no. Let's see, which one is this? Who is this? I have to look. Nope, that's not it. Hang on. I have a million charts and I didn't prep for this, so I don't see it. No. Ah, there he is. Okay. So there we go. So see, he's got that moon in the third. And see if I can get... It's not letting me do it. Here, we'll try it this way. Moon in the third, he's got Mars in the third. So he's very good at fighting with his words, but never think somebody who just uses their words isn't willing to use their fists. People with Mars in the third are quite able to maneuver and think fast. He's good at thinking fast. He's a good strategist. He will make the big, bold moves, and up against Putin, that's a good thing. But he cannot, under any circumstances, surrender. And he knows it. That's why he said what he said. He can't surrender. Putin will not, they can't afford to surrender at this point because he will be brutal. Because he'll see that as weakness and he'll just brutalize people. You can't surrender to Putin. You got to give him everything you've got. You know, so, and then we look, he's got his Sun and his Venus, and he's about to have Mars and Venus go over the top of that. And that's without Pluto in the mix, because Pluto isn't applying to that, because Pluto's in Capricorn. It hasn't made it over to Aquarius yet. You know, I think he's got a shot. If he can make it through the next, especially week and a half, and it's, you know, it's intense as hell for him right now. You know, it's hard as hell for him right now, but yeah. You do believe, yeah, well, I don't think they will either, because I think they know better than we do. You know, you can't, if you're going to fight at all, you're going to have to just keep fighting, and they know this. And so God bless them, you know. Again, I have some similarities in my chart to Putin. And so I understand that energy very much so. And you have to choose to be a good person, you know, or choose to be an evil person with those aspects, and you can be brutal. But yeah, so, you know, and it's really not about him being, it's really not about him being an Aquarius that gives him the edge. It's the fact that Venus and Mars are coming into Aquarius on March 6th, and they're going to cross there. Yeah. So he's got a lot going on. Well, that's a mix of his Aquarius and his Leo energy. He knew he had to lead from the front, and he took, that's not a new thing. That's really old. That's how things used to be done, believe it or not. And so he's working off of a collective memory, and he's bringing up, and notice the bringing up of the folklore and the bringing up of the older energy. It's almost like they're invoking their ancestors to get up and fight. I'm getting chills as I say that, so it's probably true. There's a lot of energy work at play, and we've seen some videos of women out there cursing Russian soldiers, and I was like, oh, that sounds about right. So, he's got a lot of good going on. I don't see a lot of challenge to his chart because Saturn is past it. Saturn passed his sun, and Saturn is awful close to his midhaven. That gives him a huge edge. That puts him up in a, that sets his authority. So I'm liking that, to be honest. But again, he's got to make it through. He's got to make it through this next week and a half. So, put him in a bubble. Put him in a bubble. But honestly, it does, whether he, and this is going to sound cold, whether he makes it or not, he's inspiring his people, and they're not going to give up. Okay? They're not, and he's trusting in that, and that's the messaging. So we have to move away from the chosen one. Okay? We are in a time, as Pluto gets closer and closer to Aquarius, we have to remember it is not one, it is all. Okay? We are not just one person and chosen people. That's going away. Okay? We need to rally around the idea of humanity. He's calling on people, and yes, he's leading. But consider that like a conduit energy to remembering that we have to be in the collective. And yes, sometimes people have to make executive decisions. However, we need to switch out of the, oh, we have a great leader. Oh, we don't. That's what got us into the mess. We need to stop that. But yeah, absolutely. Putin's not going to stop. You can't say... Energy work doesn't work that way. He made his choice. I don't think you understand. Let me show you his chart, okay? Because again, I have very similar positions in my own chart. He made a choice to be the way he is. When you have Pluto conjunct your South Node, you have memories. You have a choice. And you can choose the left-hand side or the right-hand side. You can choose the dark or you could choose the light, or you could walk right down the middle. But you're always making a choice, and it's nobody's responsibilities but their own. His karma is his. His karma is his. You don't have to be a good person and pray for him. Seriously, his karma is his. It always has been. People can pray for me all day long. My karma is mine. When you have Pluto conjunct the South Node, you have a choice at every step in the journey. And it is not always an easy choice, but it's still a choice. And I remember every single choice I made along the road. And some people choose to be brutal, and some people don't. I could have been a brutal person. I chose not to be. Okay? That is why I'm a very transparent person about processes. Because it's easy enough to say, oh, I was born really good, and so I stayed really good. I was born and I was brutalized and I was traumatized, and I was very, very angry, and I could have become a real psycho. I chose not to. Not because I wanted to go to heaven, but I thought, hey, wouldn't it be interesting if you chose a different route and you actually help people understand how not to be assholes? Maybe that would be a good science experiment. And really, that's the thinking that got me started with it. It was a science experiment. I was really young. So you have a choice. Pluto conjunct the South Node in the 10th. I can show you his chart because his one is here. I believe this is him. Let me look. No, that's Biden's, I think. That's not his. I have so many charts in my files. Hang on. Is this it? No. Is this it? No. God dang it. Hang on. This is it. That's Putin's chart. Okay. So he's got Pluto conjunct his midheaven. It's also conjunct his south node. You'll notice his north node is there. Saturn is approaching his north node. What he's doing is not cool. Okay, not even on a universal level. Okay, like the universe isn't going to sit there and go, this is good and this is bad, but it's going to be like, really? That's how you use power? Consequences. So he can't remain in power with that kind of behavior. So yeah. Right? Yeah, I do. I have his chart. Yeah. And then you notice, yeah, his dad was brutal. So was mine. You still have a choice. You always have a choice. And frankly, I'm going to say he's a very weak man for the choices he's made. Very weak. But yeah, that eclipse is going to hit his Venus in the first house. One of the eclipses is going to hit his Venus. That is not good. And so notice economic sanctions, it's like, boom, he's losing money. Now, honestly, I think he's at a point where he doesn't give a fuck about money at this point. He's going to go balls to the wall. He's not going to stop either. Okay. But he has multiple shitty transits coming up. So this is his chart. And what's interesting, now these were the transits I was looking at for the day of the invasion. And notice they picked it for when the moon was going over, just before it went over is Mars. Yeah. We all can be ego driven. And so it's also important, as much as I'm slamming him, I'm slamming him from an intimate knowledge of what it's like to have that kind of Pluto placement. Now, my Pluto isn't near my midheaven, but it is on my south node in the 10th house. And I do understand a desire for power and prestige. Okay. I kind of got over it young, but when I was young, I had a lot of power and prestige and I knew how to use it. Okay. I was in a different country. That 11th house sun, he does believe in his bullshit. So, and then he's also going to, this summer, you see his Jupiter right there. He's going to have Uranus, Mars, and the North Node on his Jupiter. And I think they think it's going to be a good thing. I think his astrologers think it's going to be a good thing. I don't think it's going to be a good thing at all. That's shitty energy, and that could actually be an unraveling of partnerships around him. And I think Amy and I were doing a podcast chat today, and she was looking at the Botsy charts for Putin. And you were talking about him having stress between his career and his relationships, Amy. That's what that's showing in that Jupiter. But those relationships are actually the people supporting him and financing him. And then his Mars is going to be stressed out after the eclipse in November, because we have actually just before, probably through September, October, he's going to have his Mars stressed out through a Mars transit. So it's not a great time for him, really. If he got astrological advice, they weren't using outer planets and they weren't looking at mean nodes. And that's what Hellenistic astrology will get you. So, yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's not been great. China is supporting him. Yeah, China is. China's supporting him. They just bought wheat. Yeah, watch it carefully. I've been keeping an eye on it. So you got to be careful of the propaganda. You got to sift and sort. I like to go to Reuters News, because Reuters has the better, it's just news. You know, it's not like rah, rah, rhesus, kumbah. India also isn't aligning with the U.S. yet either, and that's a concern. They often don't. So those are all things to keep your eye on. However, I do not believe this is going to become the global thermonuclear war. I just don't. I don't see it going that direction. I don't see transits for it. I'm not going to, lie. I'm not going to bullshit. You guys know me. I'll give you a heads up so you can prepare. I'll give you my percentage spreads. I do think we do need to be careful and yeah, U.S. is right-wing too. Yeah, we really are. Even the Democrats are a little right of center. We shifted really fast. Actually, they did it over a 40-some-year period. Some of us were called crazy for shouting about it too. I remember when people used to say, it can't get worse than Bush. And I'd be like, oh yeah, it can. And see, it did. Yeah, I'd be like, no, the bar can go underground, folks. But yeah. Yep. I've been talking about what I foresee happening. If you follow me, you can go onto the link in my bio and check out my podcast. You can check out my YouTube channel. I'll get this up on YouTube. I'll be doing more. I want to do more education videos because I think people don't know how to correlate the information properly. Like, there's been so much propaganda around the 1776 chart. The 1776 information wasn't even all that important until the 20th century. Believe it or not, people didn't celebrate the 4th of July in a big way until the 20th century, because it wasn't really when we were a country. They did little 4th of July parades and stuff because we were celebrating the day we told the British to F off. But we didn't become a country till we won the war. Okay? We didn't become a country till we won the war. And that's when you set the chart. And so what happened was, especially in the 1970s after Vietnam, people really didn't like being American very much. And so they set up a whole bunch of propaganda around the bicentennial. I remember very clearly, I was in elementary school and I went to see the Liberty Bell and the Freedom Train. And it was very exciting. And I was very patriotic in my little red, white, and blue outfit. My little American flag pin. Glory, glory, hallelujah. It was propaganda. Okay? Hey. And so we have about 11 years. We have about 11 years till the actual Pluto return. The Pluto and Capricorn transit that we've been looking at for the last 8 years, for the last 8 years, or not 8 years, 2008 till now, sorry, brain. I'm trying to read comments and speak at the same time, and that's like chewing gum and walking, and it doesn't work out very well. But the Pluto in Capricorn transit, this is the first time we've witnessed it in human history, okay? We did not see Pluto in the sky as human beings until 1930. It was not in our consciousness. Any chart pre-1930, Pluto doesn't really apply. Not really, because it was beyond the subconscious, okay? It was beyond the subconscious. It was such subtle influence, it really didn't play a role. Where we do need to look at things is Saturn and Mars in those pre-Pluto charts, okay? Now, 1856 is a very important year because the Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces transit happened then, and we're getting it again in April. In fact, got to watch the time here. In just half an hour, I'm doing a group reading called Make Your Magic, where I'm going down each person's chart to show them how to use the Jupiter, Neptune energy. Got another one on March 5th. It's well worth doing, and it's super fun. It's like a slumber party where I tell you how to make your magic. On a collective level, this is big energy. Guess what happened in 1856 during the last Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces conjunction? The Crimean War ended, and the Treaty of Paris was signed for the Crimean War. What's going on right now? Woo! Russia invaded Ukraine after taking Crimea. So we will see how this transpires. I'm really not going to give Putin many odds. And I say Putin and not Russia just because he's a dictator and they don't really get to choose their elected officials. So, you know. Which could happen in America if you don't get involved in your local politics. Get involved into your local politics, because there has been a lot of subversion of the American people by foreign agents, including people like Tucker fucking Carlson. Go watch my roast of his, okay? That man is a traitor. I'm just saying it straight out. And he's the same age as me, and I would love to see him in a dark alley, and then you'd see which way I choose to go, and it wouldn't be benevolent. I have no time for mealy-mouthed little Grimer worm tongues. No. So it's really important you get involved in your local communities. You don't need to get in warring words. You don't need to fight things out. You just need to take over, okay? We got to make up for some lost time. It's taken quite a while. They've been well funded, okay? And one of the ways they did it is they did it through using enough things that sound right and true. They used enough metaphysics that were almost kind of sort of right. They used people's fears, and they used people's beliefs and twisted and warped dogma. And that's why it's really important to self-actualize. It's really important to know what you believe and why you believe it for you. Not just because somebody told you to. Not just because you're afraid of an outside sky daddy who's going to zap you. Not because you're afraid of living out eternity in some hellacious existence. This is how human beings have been controlled for a freaking long time. Okay? It's time we move forward from that. And as we move into the Pluto and Aquarius era, it's time to allow, to transform through logic and transform through collaboration, okay, and cooperation. And that never been a better time for a mystery school. We'll be getting ours up running soon. We're still working on it. So there we go. Oh, you always get hope from me. If you don't have hope, you don't have anything. If you don't have hope, you don't have anything. The one thing you can never afford to lose is hope. Okay? You can't. It is hard enough to get up every single morning in this physical existence if you don't have it. Okay? You always have to have hope. It is your most precious commodity. And it isn't, everybody who's like, you got to be realistic. Fuck reality. Nobody created anything cool by being realistic. Okay? I think we need a fuck reality t-shirt. What do you think? I think that would be good merch. Fuck reality. I like that one. We could spell it F-U or P-H-U-C-K. Or, I saw it spelled the other day. I saw it P-H-U-Q-U-E. I liked that. We could do it in a nice little script with a little smile. Fuck reality. Right? Yeah. Jupiter and Saturn work well together, my dear. Jupiter and Saturn work well together. They do. They don't necessarily duke it out. They're not opposing forces. They're really not. Jupiter and Saturn are not opposing forces. Not really. No. Yeah, there you go. I'm good. How are you, CDN? I'm going to have to get off because I'm doing a group reading in just like half an hour. Energy of the new moon. I have already talked about that, but it's wild and woolly, guys. It's super wild and woolly. I'm very, very concerned about it. It is big. It is expansive because the new moon is conjunct Jupiter. Things are going to look larger in that mirror than they actually are. There's going to be a lot of lies. There's going to be a lot of lost alliances. There's going to be new alliances. Looks like a giant game of Risk. On an individual level, one of the best fucking days of the year that you could manifest anything. So set your damn intentions and make them good. But we've got Mars, Venus conjunct Pluto, and that it will be exact. And that's unfettered aggression, you know, so that's just something. So it's going to be pretty nuts. But yeah. I'll talk more about the mystery school soon. I'm still getting things together, but we're going to have basically patrons are going to get a first look at it. They're going to get entry. I'm still working out the details on that, but you're going to have a process I developed that I can get my doctorate in. I'm very proud of the process. Why haven't I done the doctorate? Because I've been busy doing this, and this is more fun. And the doctorate would just be to impress people like in institutions who I'm going to have to fight with anyway. And I don't want to fight with people. I just want to empower people. And a lot of the institutions I'd like it in don't want people empowered. So it's kind of a, you know, oxymoronic, you know. So I'll just teach people myself. I don't need a fucking PhD or ED. It'd be a doctorate of education. But anyway, I have a process that everybody will have access to that doesn't tell you what to believe or how to believe, but rather allows you to learn how to assess that for yourself about you, what your strengths are, how to run from your strengths, you know, operate from your strengths, how to communicate, collaborate with others in small groups of like-hearted people. You don't even have to have a ton of interest together. You learn how to communicate, collaborate, and play in very, very powerful ways, okay? It was designed for introverts. It works for extroverts. I spent many, many years designing this, and I have tons of case studies. It even helps people on the spectrum. In fact, one person was in their mid-40s, had been undiagnosed their entire life. They were just told they were problematic and had other issues, and including having difficulty navigating social situations. And after 5 years of being in the test program, this person said in one of our meetings, I know when I make a decision and it doesn't work out, I can make another one. And they were in their late 40s. They had never known that before in their life. So I worked with people who were often considered challenged socially or in life. And I knew if it could work with them, it can work for anybody, because it's easy to work with an overachiever. I worked with people who didn't have that social support and who were disenfranchised. So we take that, and it's full of metaphysics, okay? But that's the structure, okay? That's the crystalline structure that encapsulates and holds people so that you can do your own internal alchemy to decide what's best for you, okay? And then we'll have classes on astrology, numerology, energy work, channeling, and just ways to identify your gifts. And they'll be not just taught by me, but by professionals that I know, like, and trust. Like the numerology lady, Nicole, is going to be teaching numerology for us. And we'll have a mediumship as well. I've been talking to Carrie Wilson about that. You may not know her. She doesn't do a ton of TikToks, although you should follow her. She's one of the best mediums I've ever met. She's extremely accurate, and she's got a lot of ethics. I'll also be doing some professional mentoring and working with people if they want to become professional readers, professional metaphysicians on how to work with clients, how to set a client agenda, how to, start and end sessions, how to keep the ethics, what are ethics, how to communicate with clients. All of those things don't tend to be taught. So, and some of my other goals with this is ways to start like workers' cooperatives and starting, it's a big umbrella. It's ambitious. See, I too have Pluto in the 10th house, but we can use our powers for good, right? Right. We can use our powers for good and create collaborative spaces, because I have the moon in the 11th house and I thrive on collaboration, and I want to see it. He's trying to make the world in his image. I want to see people happy, healthy, and thriving. And I know that my world improves when your world improves, instead of trying to make everybody fit into my world. So I created containers for people to learn who they were in a very safe and supported space. And so my good friend Kirsten is going to be teaching things like muscle testing to help you learn how to test your truth, so that you're not reliant always on somebody to tell you the answer. How do you get it right? Because only you really know. But it's hard to know what your truth is, right? because there's been so much noise. I always hated hearing, oh, the truth's always inside of you. Great. If I knew what it was, I'd be doing it, right? That's how I felt when I was younger. I threw books across the room when I was trying to figure it out. I had full-blown tantrums. And so I thought, you know what? When I learn how to do this, I'm going to set up a way for people to understand it for themselves. So the truth is, the answers are all inside of you. Is it easy for you to figure it all out on your own? No. Do you need support doing it? Yes. Do you have to walk in the dark all by yourself? No. Do you need to learn how to find real support, not codependent support? Yes. So I created stuff for that. And now I get to make it happen with the Mystery School. And it's blending spirituality and the mundane so that you have an integrated life. Because we're not supposed to be split into boxes. We're not supposed to be upper centers and lower centers and split in between. We're supposed to have an integrated life. So I'm super excited about this. I look forward to you joining me. And patrons will hear about it first, and I'll talk more about it on the podcast. And all those links are in my bio. But I need to quickly go freshen up before I do a group reading. If you want to join in on the Make Your Magic, there's another session on March 5th. You can find that through my website. It's called the Awake Space, a Modern Mystery School is going to be the Mystery School, the Awake Space. And Rita is my talented brand manager and doing all the illustrations and stuff. So super excited to watch that roll out as I work on content. And I promise I'll get it done, Rita. I promise. I promise. All right. Much love, guys. Breathe deep. Relax. You can only do what you can do. Don't try to take on things you can't do anything about. Okay? So limit your attention to what's going on. Bring your energy inward as much as you can, and know that when you do take care of yourself and you manage your own space, you radiate out more calmness into the collective, okay? It's not you being selfish and unaware and greedy. It's about bringing the level of panic down. People like Putin like to stir panic up in the ethers and in the astral plane because it makes it harder for the rest of the world to function. So don't do him any favors by getting all worked up. Bring your energy levels down. You don't even need to curse him. He's done his own karma, okay? He's laid his bed. His bed is well made. Well made. Take it from another Scorpio rising with Pluto in the 10th. His bed is well made. And he knows it. Okay? Put your focus on what you want to support and put the protection towards the people. Okay? The average people. Okay? All right. Blessings to you. And I might come on later tonight after I'm done with the readings. We'll see what happens. Okay. Bye.